Oh, hi, it's Jambi here. So I just wanted to share with you a thought that I had this week, and it's about what the origin of tribalism and division in Africa came from. Where did it originate from? Where did it come from? Because pre-colonization, we lived in peace, really. If we had to fight as empires, we fought, and then we went back to our empires. But there were wars, but not as many, really. We lived in empires which was successful. The Ashanti, the Western. I don't have all the names, but we were in empires. We were doing fine. We were living in tribes and in families. We were great on families. But then after the plan in Berlin, 1884, they didn't just plan to divide us geographically. They drew the maps and divided us, but they also knew if they divided our communities, if they broke what held us together, which was the family unit, then we were broken. Because if you break the foundation of a building, then you break them. So when they came to Africa, really, and I'm sorry, but I'm talking about the Europeans, they came to colonize us. They came with a plan, a centuries plan that was going to benefit them, benefit the children's children forever and ever, and to make sure that Africa would never, ever come out of that, and they would forever be under colonial rule, whether directly or indirectly. So they did that for a few decades. And then they left the strings and ropes that I've talked about attached, which were the neo-colonialism and everything ingrained that we could not separate. It's sort of like the way they left us was like spaghetti mixed with mincemeat sauce. So if you try to then pick up the mincemeat, is almost impossible. Unless you can wash them under running water, hot running water. Obviously, it's impossible to separate spaghetti from mincemeat. And that's how they left us. So they brought the system and policies and rules and regulations into our society so that you can see bits of us, our society and our culture, bits of pieces all over. But actually, the main thing is the spaghetti, their policies. And so, what hope have we got? There is hope. Never ever lose hope, because there is hope. So, the idea that I was going to bring to you or share with you is that actually the seed of division was planted in us. The division started geographically on the ground, on the lands. Maps were drawn and named different things. So tribes were divided, Bantus, some would go to this side and others on this side. So that already broke us. And then they came further, let's say in my country, in Kenya, they took the men. Most men were killed, really, murdered. The Mau Mau was named criminal. It was not. It was a country, a people standing up to fight against the invaders. And I think this has become clearer for me, really, unfortunately, and I am no way condoning the war that's ongoing right now. But this is the first war that I've really watched closely as an adult and really understood what's going on, or seen, openly, and seen really evil versus, just a war being fought. I have never witnessed, and there's been many wars, but I think this is been the easiest to understand, and also because it's televised, so we've been able to see every day and understand what's going on. So imagining that it was the same thing. We saw the men in Ukraine being told to stay in their country and fight, and the women and children were taken away. So, or were told to go to safety. Some of them went. And it was the same in my country, where they took the men, they either used them for hard labor, and most of them died building the railway, or they took them to Tanganyika, to Burma, to Japan to fight World War One and Two, and most of them again died there. And the ones that were left, they went to the forest to fight in Mau Mau, and a lot of them were killed. So men died. So that's a family. You kill the head of the family, then the family is broken. So we were broken that way. And also, there was a lot of moving communities. So the Kikuyus were all swept and taken to the Rift Valley because they figured out that the Kikuyus and the Embus, the Merus, they were really the fighters, and they were making plans to fight back. So the one way, if they could divide them and scatter them all over, then they could conquer them. And that worked for them to their benefit, but that meant that we were divided. And because it was a war, then there was so many other, they brainwashed also a lot of loyalists. They recruited loyalists, and they would give them land so they could tell. So then tribes started getting enemies from either within the tribe or between other tribes, and some tribes were labeled enemies and others loyalists and others Mau Mau, and that whole thing divided us further. So the division started right there, and they never left. Then they built the system, educational, health, in every way. You're born into division, because growing up, I was born in Kiambu, not my choice. I just found myself there, just like you found yourself in Kisumu, and the other one found themselves in the coast. And we started growing, but who told us that I was Kikuyu, so I wasn't supposed to be nice or to talk, or I was superior or inferior to the other person from Kisumu? Where did that division thing come? I suppose it's just like black and white. Where did children learn? Of course, we learn it generational. We hear our parents, we hear comments. There is a spirit that controls us all, and before we know, we are even not just hating each other, but we're killing each other. And yet, under this whole thing, we're under one umbrella, Kenyans. So my quest is, and my thought is, how can we kill this seed of division? Because it was engineered. And I'm thinking, if we can all realize that it's not us. We're not just wanting to be divided. We're not just wanting to kill each other. No, there is a seed that was planted way back there. And it was a colonial division, dividing spirit that was planted in us. And that's been driving us, and our systems and everything was planted in such a way that we were divided by default. And so if we can realize that this was a plan, an evil plan, then we can come together. And I see somebody from Kisumu, and I will applaud them, because they are my brother, my Kenyan brother. And they'll see me and not see me as a greedy person from Kiambu, but they'll see me as an innovative person who can be helpful, and they'll see something positive about me being Kenyan. And I'm telling you, if you don't believe this, that there is a seed and a spirit that divides us and that's been planted in us, look at us. Well, a lot of us out here in Europe, we never work together, never. It never works. And you can tell me, many people have tried. You try to form groups, they just never seem to work. We should be owning a village, a borough, one Kenyan borough. We should be having a borough that's called, in London, in Kent, that's called Kenya, because we've bought the whole borough. We could, and why not? We could. How many of us are there? How many Kenyans are there? And yet, what have we achieved? Not much. We cannot achieve. But when we're one, a strand of three is harder to break. We all know that. But one, that's easy. We can break. But if they're three, that's really strong. So if we can unite, how do we unite when our hearts and our spirits and the seed in us is already in division? So the first thing is to become aware, to be educated in this thing and to see where the division is coming from. Because if you can see where it's coming from, you understand. And once you have an understanding, then you can see where the seed has been planted and how you can uproot it. And I'm telling you, we can make it. We weren't supposed to be like this. We were never like that. We were never divided. And look at how many Africans, let's even extend this thing and say Africans with there. The Indians, on the other hand, they come as one family, they live together, they buy another house, they live together, and they buy another and another, they take the corner shop and the other corner shop, and before you know, it's India. We're in India. They start India Curry Town, and we should be having the same, but we don't. Because we've got this spirit of division that brings jealousy and this thing, is a devil, I call it. And so we never succeed as much as we could have. And I know there's a few individuals who have made it really. And I tried to do the property thing and I didn't go very far. I'm still determined to do it. But how I would love to have 100 Kenyans who would say, Jambi, let's buy Kent. And we just contribute little by little in love, in support of each other. And we buy Kent or Dover or Birmingham. And we just buy a borough, in Liverpool. And we can do it. First of all, because we're ambitious. Second, because we can. But we need the unity. But that unity was broken. But my fellow Kenyans, we can reunite and we can make it again. But we just need to be aware. So subscribe. Let's keep talking because conversation will bring us an awareness and it will open our eyes to see for our children and the generations to come. We can do better. So subscribe and let's keep learning together. Bye now. Bye.